Hi, I'm Reva with Quality Sewing and Vacuum, and today I thought we would talk sergers. Do you have a closet serger? Do you use yours all the time? Is it easy? Well, you'll see for sure if you have a closet serger or not when you see how easy it is to use a air threading serger. So this is the Triumph from Baby Lock, and it has air threading loopers, and it has air threading needles even, and you can sew on knits. Now, a lot of times we get a serger just to sew on knits, but it can do denim, it does all sorts of things. And take a look at this. I've got it, so I have sewn a safety chain stitch and overcast the edges. Now it's important to overcast your edges because this is what makes it clean on the inside of a garment. So this is like the industry has it, and then it's really a strong seam because you have the safety seam on there as well. Now, have you ever had this happen? Have you ever had a thread break while you're serging something? So I'll go ahead and sew that off, and you're gonna see, look at that. Can you see? There's no thread in there. Now usually this is where you have to take your serger completely apart as far as the threading. You have to rethread everything in a certain order, but I don't have to on this one. It has a patented delivery system here, and I can just thread it, and look, there's that thread. Now another one of the 14 patents that it has is that it has a thread delivery system, and you don't have to worry about any tensions because depending on the stitch you're doing, it automatically knows what stitch length you've chosen and what type of stitch you're doing, so it will set the tensions correctly. And then it will just pick up that thread. Let me show you that. And it just picks up right where it had left off. We have, of course, a little gap. So if this was the real world, you would go back and would start sewing there. But you don't have to rethread the whole serger. Now, do you ever want to do more than just do finishing edges? This serger actually can also do gathering. Okay, so now we're going to gather. So I took off the standard foot and I'm going to use the gathering foot. This has a blade that separates the layers of fabric. The fabric that goes underneath is the one that you want to gather, and the one on top is the fabric that we're going to gather it to. So this will be flat, this will be gathered. And this is a really easy, quick release and quick put on of your feet. You just have to pop him on there. Especially if you have him in the right spot. There he goes. And now it's ready to go. So I'm going to take the fabric that I want to, well, let me show you first. I'll take the piece that I'm going to gather and just slide that underneath here, and then take the flat piece and just insert it right here, and then I'll put my foot down. Now to get it to gather, I'm going to move the differential feed all the way up to 2, which will have the fabric in the front feeding into the machine faster than it goes out, and that will give a nice gather. Okay, so we finished our gathering, and take a look at how nice that gather is. So this is great for home deck. It's good for children's clothing, for garments of all different types. But now let's go ahead and finish our edge. So watch this. This is really pretty cool. All I'm going to do is I'm going to put the differential back down. I'm going to take the threads from the needle and cut them, and then I'm going to change the stitch width and the stitch length. So I'm going to take it to a rolled hem like a 2 and take this down to the smallest as far as the width goes, and I'm going to move my stitch selector down to D, and this will give me a beautiful rolled hem. Now there are specialty threads that you can use that will fill that area in. You can use like a woolly poly or a flocked thread or the such, or even a decorative thread, and you can get a really nice filled in. But it does a beautiful job on rolling that edge, and it's more than just cutting the edge of the fabric and then sewing on it. It actually takes the fabric and rolls it to the back side, so you have a nice amount of a fullness of fabric underneath there, and then that way it also just won't fall off of the edge if you're working with something sheer. Another thing that you can do with a serger, this air thread serger, is something called the wave stitch, and that's where you have the back thread comes up to the front and then it goes back, so you can have two contrasting colors or threads show on the top, and it's a really unique and very beautiful stitch. So if you have a serger that isn't easy to use, and maybe it gives you frustration and angst by having to rethread all of the threads every time you want to change a thread, or maybe a thread breaks, you owe it to yourself to take a look at an air threading serger. They're so different than any other serger. I swear my first serger was a doorstop, and I spent a lot of money on it, so I really felt like I was committed to it, but life has been easy. My sewing is so much more pleasurable using a serger that actually works for me and doesn't work against me. So come in, take a look at one of the many different air threading sergers that Baby Lock has to offer, and I think you're going to find that using a serger can be a real joy. So come in and see us.